with the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft.
Good evening and welcome back to Draft Anatomy. We are bringing you all things football all the time. I am your personal draft assistant, Dr. Brad.
And I'm not Deshaun Watson's masseuse, Dr. Kyle. We're going to fix some teams.
All right. Well, you're right, Dr. Kyle. Now, we have some patients that need to be seen urgently. I'm prepping the draft board as we speak. Who should I bring into the room first?
Well, clearly this patient's quarterback has eaten way too much mayonnaise, and he needs to cut back. So we're going to bring in the Tennessee Titans. And listen, I've looked over all the charts of our patients so far, of the ones we're seeing today. And the one thing that I don't see from all of them are culture. Culture is something all of our patients need, all of our teams need. Culture, they need an identity. So all of them aren't healthy. Why aren't they healthy? Their culture sucks. Their identity sucks. So we're going to help fix them. Clearly, the Titans have something in the works here. Will Levis is not it. Okay. This quarterback is addicted to mayonnaise in his coffee, addicted to turnovers. He's an issue. And a second-round pick just a couple of years ago, I think they just need to cut him loose. Let's prep him for surgery. Get him out of here. If he dies, like in Rocky IV, right? So I'm not really willing to fix him. For the Tennessee Titans, though, I think we can agree three of their biggest needs are quarterback, like we said, maybe tackle and edge, right? And Vrabel went to the Patriots. Titans got a new head coach, trying to find their new identity, their new culture. I think it's got to start at quarterback. What do you think?
I agree. I'm really interested to know what our recovery plan will be for the Titans. So you've mentioned quarterback. What does your recovery plan look like for the Tennessee Titans?
Well, let's look at it. We have Cameron Ward and Ariante Ursary. In my humble opinion, I don't think this is a great quarterback class. No. The only person I would take is Cameron Ward. I wouldn't take anybody else. I might take Jackson Dart later in the second, third, if he lasts that long, maybe. But other than that, I'd stay away from them completely. So I have the Titans taking Cameron Ward to help them out. He reminds me a lot of maybe like a Vince Young a little bit, has that kind of that energy. Maybe a Steve McNair, RIP, who the Titans had years ago. A guy that's won a little bit, but also has the athleticism, the arm talent that I think can change a franchise. And then I have them taking Ariante Ursary, tackle out of Minnesota. I think you and I both like what they've done in terms of Skoronski, Latham, but I think if they could shore up that last tackle position, they could be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, you're right. Winning at the line of scrimmage is one thing. Having a quarterback that's not addicted to turnovers, addiction is difficult, and we've just really got to find a quarterback that likes to get the ball to his receivers, not to literally anyone on the field. Yeah. So my recovery plan is pretty similar to yours. I just kind of flopped what would be there. Now, you and I both know that Jackson Dart is moving up the board quickly. He impressed really well at the Senior Bowl. However, I'm going to take the Titans at face value here and say that if they're really talking about a generational talent, quarterbacks come and go. It is rare that you find one that sticks like that. I think Abdul Carter, it doesn't matter who's slinging the ball. You got that kid on the other side that is like a Micah Parsons-esque, and I hate to say that because it's a cheap analogy because he's from Penn State, but they're built the same way. They play the same way. They have the same positional flexibility. They rush the passer the same way. Like, if teams had a chance to get Micah Parsons and had like a time machine, they would have done it. And here's your chance to make it right. And I think, if Jackson Dart does move up to the beginning of the second, here you've just addressed two major needs. You've got a pass rush finally led by an extremely strong rookie, and then you can bring it with Jackson Dart. And I think that'll really help them kind of right the ship, because you're right, the quarterback play is just subpar.
And I think, too, if they did go that route, I fully believe in Jackson Dart's ability to throw the ball over Will Levis. He's a better passer. Will Levis was a horrid passer coming out of Kentucky. Like, he had no pocket awareness. He had a massive arm, but that doesn't really do much if you can't put it where it needs to go. So they have a good running game. I mean, we've talked about Tyjae Spears and Tony Pollard. Like, that's a good duo.
Yeah.
Wonko's not bad. The receivers could use some help, but it's not the worst thing ever if Calvin Ridley steps up. But I think it's a decent situation for a quarterback to go into, much unlike the rest of the teams that we'll probably talk about.
Sure. So we've talked about their recovery plan. Now we really need to talk about maybe some recommended supplements to go with their recovery plan. Kyle, we've got a couple supplements that we recommend for them. Why these players? What could they address straight up for the Titans, for our patients? Sorry.
The Titans have about $49 million in cap space. I would go after Jedrick Wills, a right tackle, assuming that they don't go tackle in round one, which I doubt they will. There's not really a tackle worth taking at number one. And assuming that Skoronski doesn't kick out to tackle, or if they don't get one in the draft, because we know with teams that suck, that need recovery, it's best to take best player available. So the best player available might not be a lineman ever when you're picking. So for a safety plan, a supplement, if you will, I would get Jedrick Wills, maybe like a 2-year contract. He has shown some injuries, so it's not like guaranteed he's going to step in and be great. But sure. I think as a right tackle, they're becoming more and more important in this league. So getting one that kind of solidifies the right side is good. I also have Dre Greenlaw as well from the 49ers. Listen, he's a beast when he's healthy. We know that duo has worked out incredibly well for the 49ers with him and Fred Warner. But the Titans don't really have a solid linebacker at all to speak of. So I would go after him as well. And then lastly, Azeez Ojulari as an outside linebacker, defensive end. They're pretty much set with Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat. But I'm really looking at their linebackers and their defensive ends. But heck, they could even use a corner too, I think. So a lot of needs for the Titans. I actually think they're probably more needy on defense than they are on offense.
I agree. There's a lot of young talent on offense. They just need a leader to kind of put it together, and hopefully a new quarterback will address our patients' needs. So they seem all better to me. Next, please. Kyle, will you introduce our next patient?
Yeah, don't give this patient any massages. Don't go near them. Just stick them under the knife. They desperately need this is like the most intense surgery possible.
Yeah.
I think anybody that does these kinds of podcasts or writes about offseason needs with the Browns, there's really no answer. There's really no clear answer at all. They have negative $34 million in cap space.
Yeesh.
Their quarterback is non-existent. Their edge, their best player on their team, maybe one of the best players in the NFL, Myles Garrett, once out. Mm-hmm. One of their best offensive players killed his knee last year, and even when he gets healthy, he doesn't want to be there anymore. It's a disaster because, I mean, I do think that Stefanski and Jim Schwartz are actually a pretty good combo, but the talent was there, and then all of a sudden you spent half your cap on your quarterback and he died. So not literally, but really he lost all of his talent. The Monstar's got his talent and he's done. So, it's really a no-win situation. Plainly speaking, we need to put them under the knife and gut them.
Yeah. And start over. Yeah.
I think that's the only. I don't really see any other way around it. What do you think?
I agree. The only thing I really have to add is how wild is it that the further away we get away from them letting go of Baker Mayfield and blaming him for all their problems, that Baker was the most solid choice of
Right.
quarterback they've had for God knows how long.
Yeah.
So they're doing it to themselves. I kind of feel somewhat bad, but look, this is going to be one that we're just kind of going to breeze through because we could sit here and talk from the top of the depth chart to the bottom, and they need to replace all of it. But with that being said, what is your recovery plan for them?
Recovery plan. Well, it's honestly just to take the best players that we have here. Abdul Carter. If Myles Garrett's gone, then you need a replacement, right? And I would assume if they trade Myles Garrett, they're going to pick up another first rounder, another second rounder, probably if they can get that worked out. I didn't add that in just because I don't know, you don't know. So if they were, I would look at another first rounder, probably in the low to high 20s. So I have Abdul Carter. Then I have Walter Nolan, who's really rising up the board. I don't think he'll last till 33. But again, when we talk about kind of restructuring this whole team, you need to start at the line of scrimmage. Carter Nolan would make a lot of sense. I have Jackson Dart as well. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't take a quarterback. Maybe go after a free agent, bring back Winston if that's possible. If I were them, I wouldn't even take a quarterback just because I think they need to revamp everything, and I think the quarterback would just not be successful. But I have them just because I think the Browns would probably be stupid enough to do that. And then Quinshad Junkins at their last pick here, just a replacement for Nick Chubb because their running backs are pretty depleted.
True. My recovery plan is pretty similar. It really was just throw a dart at a board and they could use it. Travis Hunter, I think, gives them the best of both worlds, though, because they need a good defensive player and a good offensive player. And look, if my whole team sucked, I'd take a guy that could do both. And if Hunter is there on my board, I'm taking him. Jonah Savanea, I don't think he'll be there either. I think he'll be gone before 33. Cam Scatabo, I thought about that. I was like, okay, he's not the strongest running back ever, but he has that electricity that Nick Chubb had in college of just, you don't know what he's going to do when he touches the ball. And you like that. You like having a receiving threat. You like having a good running threat. You like having a good 3-down back. And if they're going to even think about replacing Chubb, they need to give that kind of a player that can just be a spark on offense. And then speaking of sparks on offense, you can't throw the ball, you're not going to do nothing. Do I think Quinn Ewers will make it to the third round? Unsure. I think he would have had a much better chance last year of being a first-round pick than this year being a first-round pick. And it's not because he's bad. It's just there's a lot of other good talent ahead of him. And I think you could still get a steal in Quinn Ewers, but we've said that about how many quarterbacks before. So
in the right system, I think he would be okay. But
sure,
the way the NFL is going with these quarterbacks who can throw the ball effectively and also use their legs, Quinn Ewers has no legs. That dude can't run to save his life.
Peyton Manning might be a little more mobile than he is.
Who's that?
Peyton Manning might be a little more mobile than he is.
I would agree, sadly. So for him, I think his arm talent's definitely good, really good zip on the ball, accuracy. But he needs to go in a situation that allows him to not get murdered.
Right.
So who knows? But Scatterbo, I like that because, the Browns have some history with, some white running backs, Peyton Hillis, right?
That's what I was thinking too.
Good. I like that. And then supplements, what do we have? Oh, nothing.
Well, nothing. Actually, I'm sorry, but just with this patient, look, supplements aren't covered under their cap space insurance plan. I'm not really sure they're going to be able to fit it in with the kind of procedures we're going to have to do with them.
Yeah.
However, it does look like you have some suggestions, even if they don't have any supplements. What did you have?
Yeah, I would trade Miles to the Commanders. I think that might be your best of both worlds there. I think they have the money to take on his contract. They have the picks. I would cut Jack Conklin. I think you could save about $10 million. Obviously, there's a need there after you get rid of him, but that's what you have to do. You have to gut it. And then if you can restructure Deshaun, try to find some money somewhere. And Nick Chubb is probably gone. So there's not going to be any really free agency spending. There will only be the draft. They have 12 picks and probably more coming if they trade some guys. So this is really gut them to their bones and build through the draft.
Yeah, it's again, you could say anything, and it's an improvement for the Browns. With all that being said, I guess that's really all we can do for them. So next,
So this patient is in dire need of a mental health checkup. I think we're going to send them in for a psych evaluation, and that will be the New York Football Giants.
that's valid. Yeah.
Just again, I talked about culture. I talked about health, identity. I don't know what the Giants are exactly doing. I really don't. I bringing back the man that said, "Hey, yeah, I'm not going to pay Saquon, but oh, yeah, Daniel Jones, he's our quarterback," and then cut him halfway or 3/4 of the way into the year. I feel like that's malpractice. We don't stand for malpractice at this hospital, so
We do not.
I don't know why he's there, but he is, so we have to fix him. Unfortunately, they have needs all over. Their three biggest, I think, are quarterback, cornerback, and defensive tackle.
Sure. They also are a team that is much more skilled on paper than how they're performing. What is your recovery plan for them?
So I would listen, Shador Sanders. Yeah, it's tough when you do these mocks because it's like, is it what I want to do, or is it what I think the Giants will do? Is it a mix of both? It's kind of hard like that. So Shador Sanders, they do need a quarterback, and I do think he's athletic. And listen, he's used to running behind horrid offensive linemen and being somewhat successful. So for the Giants, that might make a great fit for him. It seems like they've had a lot of conversations. So I think the Giants are definitely in on Shador. And at 34, I have Josh Connerly Jr., a solid tackle out of Oregon. I love Andrew Thomas. He's often hurt. Evan Neal coming out, I very much liked, but he is not a tackle. And it's funny seeing all these Giants fans or pretend to be scouts, analysts on Twitter, on TV that say, oh, if the Giants draft Travis Hunter and then they sign Matt Stafford, wow. I'm like, well, yeah, wow. They're still going to be crap because Matt Stafford cannot survive behind that offensive lineman. You're going to need an athletic guy that you can do a lot of different things with. Use his legs, use his mobility, offset that pressure, get him out in space. Like some guy that provides more than just passing the ball to your offense. That should be Shador. And then at 65, I have him taking Azariah Thomas. Their corner selection over the last few years have been pretty abysmal. So corner is still a big need for them.
Yeah, absolutely. My recovery plan for them is a little similar. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a thought process here, and I'll just see what you think, Dr. Kyle. Now, we've not seen elevated levels of decision making from this front office, and I have a feeling if they whiff on Cam Ward and if they whiff on Shador Sanders, they may not pull the trigger until late because you're right. This is a very skim QB class. Jackson Dart is nice, sure. But I think if they miss it at 3, which I think Dart would be an overdraft at 3, then they have to really look at how can we expand the team and try to address quarterback and free agency. Now, the free agents for QB right now are not great. What are you going to go get Russell Wilson? That's not going to do anything for you. It didn't do anything for the Steelers, which there's a theory about that anyways, but we'll come back to that. But just for the sake of the Giants, I think if you're in a boat where there's no quarterback there, you take the best thing available to you. And look, they need wide receiver help. Neighbors is beautiful. He really is. But it's just Neighbors. And what, Jalen Hyatt, Sterling Shep? Like Shepard's not even there anymore. Like, that's my whole point. Like, who else is going to step up? I love the idea of bringing in Travis Hunter to address the offense and maybe try him out on the defense on some place. See if you can get both. See if you can get either you just lock down another corner for you to go with Deontay Banks. Not even Deontay Banks. I don't even think he's there anymore. Or you get another receiver to go with Malik Neighbors. And my whole thought is that with this, if you're bringing a new quarterback, go ahead and bring in a whole bunch of stuff to revamp that whole offense. So Harold Fannin, you and I love the Senior Bowl. That's a guy that came up real hot in the Senior Bowl and looked good doing it. And honestly, like Evan Ingram, maybe like before that, Graham? Like I just can't think of a lot of good like Giants tight ends.
Yeah, they have Shockey back in the day.
Jeremy Shockey too. Yep.
They did draft Theo Johnson out of Penn State, but I wouldn't call him an answer there yet. So, tight end's definitely in need as well.
And then obviously O-line, like they just every year their O-line is eh.
Yeah, if you could for a second, I think with your draft, I think this is what they should do. Because I think if they draft a quarterback like Shedeur, I think Dable / Joe Schoen are just prolonging the inevitable of them getting fired. Like that is like, well, hey, we drafted a quarterback. You got to give me another 2 to 3 years to see what we can do with it. That's a way for guys to kick their eventual firing down the road. But I do like the possibility of Hunter because, is he a corner? Is he a receiver? Well, the Giants, they need a lockdown corner. He can do that. And then maybe you do give him 10 to 15 plays on offense and bring him in with Malik Neighbors. Now, if you do that, now it's like, yikes. Malik Neighbors and Travis Hunter. And if you get Harold Fannin, all of a sudden you have 3 guys there that it's like, oh, that's a little scary now.
Yeah.
So, you might not have a quarterback yet, but again, develop that. If you do have a plan for Travis Hunter at corner and receiver, then eventually when you do go all in for a quarterback and you're like,
you have help.
We're ready to go. Like we know what the plan is for Hunter. We know what the plan is for Neighbors and Hunter on the same field. Travis Hunter's our lockdown corner now. Like,
and that's where I'm at. Like I can see them taking quarterback to mollify the fans, but they could also say, dang it, we missed out on Ward and Sanders. I guess we'll just have to make it another season. Yeah. And that's why I think they'll go flashy and just build up the team. And then next year you get a quarterback and then go, hey, look, now we're doing well. See, we knew what we were doing. But you're right. It's a tactic to just keep their jobs because it's coming down the pipeline. If a Super Bowl is not within the next 2 years, they're out. Or even a playoff win for that matter. They're gone.
Even 5 wins.
Yeah, exactly. What are our supplements for this team, patient?
So the Giants have about $47 million. And with all of our patients today, I just want to reiterate, it's not always smart to spend your money in one place and all of a sudden. That doesn't always bode well. It actually almost never bodes well. You have to be smart with your money. So for the Giants, who do have, as we've talked about, some nice young players, why don't we think about extending them first? But then in free agency, let's go after another receiver. We love Neighbors. You and I both do.
Yeah.
Had a great year. But I would say he's more of a deep threat, move him around type of guy. You can move him in the slot. Really good. I kind of want that just solid X receiver. I think Chris Godwin could be that for them. So I have Chris Godwin at number 1. I have Trenton Brown at tackle. I get it. He's been oft injured, but so is all of your offensive linemen that you have on your team. So if I'm the Giants, I'm bringing in as many linemen as I can with some upside and with some experience, so I can kind of just construct that offensive line in the right way. And lastly is Tyler Conklin. If they don't get another tight end in the draft, I think Theo could be your pass catching option, and Conklin can be your blocking tight end. Because my thinking is if your offensive line sucks, then you're going to need a tight end to block and help chip. And I think Conklin could be that for them.
Agreed. Well, Kyle,
what's next?
It looks like that's the best they can do. Now, remember to pay your star players and stop hanging on to subpar QB play. Kyle, I can't believe we have to treat this next patient.
This patient, I feel like I haven't seen them in years. They've been healthy for just so long. What the hell happened? Oh, that's right. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick left. So obviously they're in dire need of help. Love the Vrabel pickup, I guess. Definitely goes along with the Patriots culture.
Well, the Patriots were also getting sick off of Mayo as well. So
yes, that's true. Too much Mayo. Not sure I love the Josh McDaniels hire, but maybe he's okay. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. Their three biggest needs are tackle, receiver, and edge.
Mm-hmm. What was your draft recovery plan for them? This feels like another, like they just kind of need everything but a quarterback.
Yeah. Now they could be a team that trades down and gets like a Tetura McMillan. I wouldn't mind that. I think it would probably be a little bit of an overdraft to pick Will Campbell at 4. So that's why I have Travis Hunter here. But honestly, they could go trade down McMillan. They could go trade down Campbell. Maybe Abdul falls to 4. I think any of those, you just need to hit on the best player available at 4 because the Patriots are in dire need of talent. I don't see much talent on that team besides Drake May. Is that it? Probably it. Now they have a couple guys on defense that aren't too bad that we've talked about before. They re-signed Josh Uche last year. He's not a bad depth player. Christian Gonzalez, obviously an elite corner, so you got him. And then Kyle Duggar's not bad either. Keon White, and then my boy Christian, or your boy Christian Barmore from Alabama. When he's healthy, he's pretty good. But like I said, best player Travis Hunter up there. I have Jonas Savanaia, a tackle. They need offensive line help desperately. It was so bad last year. Kyle Kennard, edge from South Carolina, and then Mason Taylor, actually Jason Taylor's son, if you remember Jason Taylor.
Yes,
Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU. I feel like the Patriots are kind of known for having really good tight ends. Hunter Henry is kind of on the decline. They're getting a little older, so a quarterback's best friend is a tight end. Yeah,
exactly right. My draft recovery plan is very, very similar to yours. Abdul Carter, same process. If he's there, sure, a wide receiver would be great, but if you can get a generational pass rusher, fantastic. Donovan Jackson. So I know that they need a tackle, but Donovan Jackson actually did play tackle in high school, moved to guard for Ohio State, played a little bit of both as he needed. He's flexible. And honestly, with an O-line that's like rapidly deteriorating and you need to protect May, pick the flexible guy. And he matched Luke Wiley and Paris Johnson Jr. for the most snaps played at Ohio State. So he's also durable. He's not an oft-injured guy. I was like, that's great. You and I have talked about Aronde Gadsden before. We've not gotten to talk about it this year. I like him. Good gadget player. Tight end, wide receiver, kind of plays both. And then Anthony Belton, I picked him because he was the biggest guy on the board. We know how the Patriots operate with O-line. They're going to pick the big, fat, meaty guy. And this guy's, I think, 354. Like he's hefty. So that's our thought. What are our supplements for this patient?
So supplements for them, I have Ronnie Stanley at tackle. I think he's a guy that could command a lot of money. Now he's, as you know, as a Ravens fan, he gets injured quite a bit. But the only year he didn't get injured was, his contract year, this year. Funny how that works out. So, if they believe in his health, I think that would be smart. Tackles can last till they're like 35, and I think he's 30 or 31. Like, that would just be smart to get a guy in there that can pass protect, just a guy that knows how to do that. A stable, hopefully stable guy, a guy that's a veteran that can teach other younger guys. I think that would be smart. T. Higgins also, if he says bye-bye to the Bengals, pay him whatever he wants. Like, I'm serious. Pay him whatever he wants. You have $120 million. You don't really have anybody coming up that you can pay. Just pay him whatever. pay your whole cap.
And truthfully, because you and I both know if Jamar Chase wasn't there, he'd be the wide receiver one for the Bengals, and he'd have a whole different career than he has had with the Bengals thus far.
Yeah, and coming out of or coming to the draft, I don't know if we were doing this when he was drafted, but I just found it hilarious that so many people were like, "Oh, he's not that fast." Well, I don't care. Like, the dude can run routes. He has great hands. He's physical. He's big. Like, he's tough. I mean,
believe it or not, the first draft we did together 6 years ago, T. Higgins was in there. We need to go back and see where we put him.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like receiver. It's not all about being lightning fast. That's such a overrated part of it. Now it can help, obviously, but T. Higgins can be a number one, and you need to give Drake May a number one. I don't want him throwing to Kendrick Bourne or whoever the heck they have over there. And lastly, I said to trade for Harold Landry. Landry's a Vrabel guy all the way from the Titans days. He's still productive, a little older, but he has a big contract. So if the Titans are willing to get off that contract, wanting to get off of it, the Patriots are a team that can take care of it, take care of him, and take care of the picks willing to get for him.
Sure. Okay. Next.
Duval. That was not a good Liam Cohen impression, but a better Duval than his.
Hang on, I got you. Duval.
I watched that video way too many times.
So many times.
So weird. Jaguars, again, a team maybe more so than the other teams so far. Maybe the most out of any of these teams we're talking about, a team in need of a culture change. I don't think Shad Khan's a great owner so far. And just to get Liam Cohen, they had to fire Trent Baalke. So
what does that tell you?
Yeah, I mean, Baalke's horrible, and I don't think Shad Khan knows what he's doing. I'm pretty sure he let his son draft some people. I wouldn't be surprised. So just in dire need of a whole switch up here. Their three biggest needs, I think, are corner.
Oh, come on. I gave you a good joke there.
They need a real coach, not three kids. It's so funny.
That was the first thing I thought when he went Duval.
It really does.
He's literally just three kids in a trench coat. That's not a human. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Very good. Corner, offensive line, guard, center, and then receiver up there as well. We've talked about receiver, how weird they've been with picking some of these guys. I think Brian Thomas is a for sure hit. I think Parker Washington's a nice number 3. I don't know if I have any more faith in Gabe Davis or Christian Kirk. So not sure about that. So recovery plan.
Go for it.
Yeah, I haven't taken Mason Graham. I think he'll be the best talent on the board, and they desperately need to retool the interior of their defensive line as well. We like the edge rushers, what's his face from Georgia, Trayvon Walker.
Right.
What's his face? Sorry, Trayvon. Trayvon Walker has been not elite, but he's steadily getting better. They've used a lot of picks on linebackers, defensive ends. Josh Hines-Allen still there. He's very good. So Mason Graham can hopefully shore that up. Trey Amos at corner. They need a long physical corner.
Sure.
Gray Zabel, I'm hearing that he's probably not going to last till the 3rd round. He'll probably go second round.
The Senior Bowl
for sure. And then Omar Norman Lott, who I just kind of learned about, D tackle from Tennessee, very athletic, twitchy guy, who can also help out the Jaguars on the interior of their defensive line.
It's so funny. Our recovery plans are similar in one thing. We both said, okay, if you're going to double down, do it twice, which is the whole definition of double down. Don't know why I said that. But, the thing for me is, okay, Trevor Lawrence should not be this bad for this long. And I think one of the things that they really need to get serious about is addressing the offensive line. And look, I know Will Campbell is a tackle. You could always just kick out one of the tackles inside to the guard or center, see how they work out for the first couple games. You hate it, you go pick somebody up in free agency, you make a trade. But Will Campbell is the best pure linemen up in that spot for them at 5. And then Kenneth Grant. A lot of people think that Kenneth Grant won't make it that long. Some people think Kenneth Grant will go in the first round. But, we're still too early to kind of get an idea of, okay, this is what
we didn't think Cooper DeJean would last till 42. And
yeah, because I thought he was supposed to go to the Ravens. But, whatever, it's fine. I have recordings, if anyone doubts that, where I said I wanted Cooper. But it's fine. He just picked off Mahomes casual on his birthday in the Super Bowl for a pick six. Whatever. Anyways, Kenneth Grant. But here's the thing that I really want. I'm with you. Gabe Davis is a free agent. Don't give him the money. Kirk is going to be out of the door soon. Don't give him money. Neither one of those were worth it. They were desperation picks not picks, but you know what I mean. Desperation fills to fill a big need. Now, Isaiah Bond. I have strong feelings about Isaiah Bond. I thought Isaiah Bond was just fine, and then he went to Texas, and then didn't get the opportunity he thought he was really going to have at Texas. But he's lengthy, he's long, he's quick. To put Brian Thomas out there on the X receiver, put Isaiah Bond on the inside, and then even better, not only am I going to say go get Isaiah Bond, I'm also going to say get Jack Beck, because Jack Beck reminds me of Lad McConkey a little bit, and not because they're white guys. They're just not fast, but they are technicians in route running and catching the ball. And you know what? Let Kirk walk. Keep Ingram. Ingram's been a nice surprise in Jacksonville, but if you can double down on those two guys, they give you the route runner, they give you the speed guy, and now you've got a big body X receiver. There's your offense right there. Even if it takes like a season or two for them to get their legs under them, even if one fails, you've at least got two good receivers. So I'm taking a Howie Roseman page here. I had to do some research on Howie Roseman because I was like, how did this dude go from nobody in the middle of nowhere, no experience in drafting, get to the Eagles, draft these teams that have been honestly dominant? So anyways, that was his thing, is he would always go trade for someone or draft two of a position and say, okay, if this one fails, we've got this as a backup. And it's a great plan. I don't know why people haven't done that, but that's my whole thing. Anyways, what are our supplements for this team?
Yeah, before I go to this really quick, Will Campbell, I heard that he could possibly play guard or center as well.
See?
So, like, that would actually work out perfectly for them, too, if they went that route. Supplements, I have James Daniels at guard, the guard from the Steelers, just a depth kind of guy. They only have about $31 million, so it's not a ton to play with. And as we know, like I said earlier in this podcast, don't just throw your money at guys like Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, etc. Next, DJ Reed. If they want to get a star in free agency to fill a need, DJ Reed would kind of be that, a corner they can put on the outside along with the rest of their team. And then lastly, who do I have? I have, that's right, Derek Noddy, the D tackle from the Chiefs. The Chiefs are actually just very, very good at stuffing the run. And I think last year he was a big part of that too. They desperately need D tackle, like I said before. And just back to the DJ Reed thing, Tyson Campbell's been very good for them, but other than that, their secondary is pretty bad. So getting DJ Reed at corner and then filling in at D tackle, I think could overall just help fix their defense. That division's so winnable, man. Like, even the Texans, like, I think they're an up and coming team, but they're not there yet. They're not like elite yet. Colts are up and down. Titans are horrible. So like, you have your quarterback supposedly, and you have a pretty darn good receiver and a lot of young athletic pieces on defense. You should not be this bad.
Mm-hmm.
No.
All right. Well, we've got them sorted out. So next.
Well, it looks like this patient has gotten some plastic surgery recently, i.e. Tom Brady. Let's see what else we can do for them. Let's be honest. Did you guys see him on the TV? Like, he didn't look like Tom Brady. I'm like, man, you must have just got some fillers in or something. But so Raiders, they have about $92 million to play with this offseason. Biggest needs, quarterback, running back, receiver. Which is
a whole lot.
Yeah, pretty hilarious. Their tight ends, great. Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. Dude, keep those guys. Run 2 tight end sets. I don't care. Offensive line, not completely horrible, but skill position-wise, bad. So my little plan for them, we have Tet McMillan at 6. Again, let's get a big physical-bodied receiver. If they don't get a quarterback, hopefully they do. I would assume they'd go after maybe like a Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins type of guy. Not my cup of tea, but listen, you got to start somewhere, especially if they don't get a quarterback. Then Omarion Hampton, running back from North Carolina. You need juice back there. You might even have to go 1-2, get another running back in this draft. It's loaded with running backs, or pick up one in free agency. TJ Sanders at D tackle, and then Tate Ratledge, guard center from Georgia, just to fill in the middle of that offensive line.
Yeah. My recovery plan is pretty similar to McMillan. Now, I decided to draft how the Raiders are going to draft for the rest of this draft, not how they should draft. Now, they're going to reach for a quarterback. They're desperate. Minshew experiment didn't work. Neither did McConnell. McConnell had moments, of course, but Brock Bowers is going to make anybody look good. They're going to pull another Jamarcus Russell, and they're going to go for Jalen Milroe in the second round, when you could probably get Millie in the third or fourth. And they're going to push him into a spot that he's not ready for. He might actually watch film, sure, but he's not going to be ready for that. Then they're going to follow it up by saying, didn't Ollie Gordon do some really good stuff the other year? Even though Travion Henderson's on the board, they'll take Ollie Gordon. And then they'll follow that up with, let's take the most aggressive corner or defensive back we've seen all season, caused a lot of penalties by just being aggressive. We want to bring that back to the Raiders of just having that like tough mentality. And let me phrase that by saying, I love Malachi Moore, I do, but you gotta dial it back a bit. But it fits with that like Raider scheme of what they're trying to do. They're trying to be defense heavy, hit them hard, and all these guys are tough. That's the first reason I picked a lot of these guys are tough. Not necessarily the best players, but they're trying to build a, like what you said with the Jags, they're trying to build a whole like level of conduct that they want to go forward with. And these are reaches for sure, but the Raiders do it every year. Even Brock Bowers, they had Michael Mayer and they took Brock Bowers. I'm like, why? So whatever.
You're right. I mean, you would hope that with Brady in that office somewhere that they could do something normal for once. We'll see.
Let's grab our supplements for this team.
So they have a lot of money to play with, and like I said, their running backs were so bad last year. I mean, they had Amir Abdullah starting. Ugh. The dude's been around for like since 2014, hasn't he? I mean, like, what are we doing? So get Najee Harris, and then maybe get a speed back in the draft. Have a nice 1-2. Get a speed threat. Listen, when you have tight ends like that, if you want to run 2 tight end sets, you're going to need a guy on the outside that can run down the field, and not only run down the field, not only be fast, but be able to track balls, be able to catch balls deep, all that good stuff. And a guy that maybe could do that is Hollywood Brown. And then lastly, Mekhi Becton, a guy that could maybe offer you some positional flexibility. It seems like they're pretty good with their offensive line and developing them. So I think this is a guy that needs continued development, a guy who's been very stable at guard for the Eagles this year, but maybe he could flip out to tackle too if you desperately need him to. So they have a lot of money to play with. I'd go after guys that, don't just go after the juice. Go after guys that you think can help and that can fit your team, fit your culture.
For sure. That was a whole lot of procedures. Hopefully we fixed a couple people and they'll follow our treatment plan. That is the end of our episode. Thanks as always for your support. If you want to listen to us on the go, check us out on Spotify. We will be back with you next Wednesday as we diagnose some more sick teams. Good night.